Sometimes, people who love you ignore you because they are battling their own inner conflicts. Love doesn't always come with emotional clarity. Sometimes, they ignore you to avoid facing their true feelings. When someone you love ignores you, it's often because they feel emotionally overwhelmed and don't know how to express it. Silence can be a form of self-protection. They might be afraid of being hurt by you. If they ignore you, it could be a sign they're testing the strength of your bond, consciously or unconsciously. Sometimes, people who love you ignore you because they feel unworthy of your love and affection. Fear of vulnerability can make even the most loving hearts retreat into silence. When someone you love ignores you, it's often because they're processing emotions they don't know how to explain. People who love you may ignore you when they feel misunderstood or unappreciated. Ignoring you could be their way of gaining control when they feel powerless in the relationship. Sometimes, they ignore you not because they've stopped loving you, but because they're afraid of losing you. When love turns into uncertainty, people often use distance as a shield. Silence isn't always the absence of love. Sometimes, it's a cry for help that goes unnoticed. The real reason they ignore you might be because they're afraid of confrontation and fear conflict. If someone who loves you ignores you, it's sometimes because they're prioritizing their own mental peace. People who love you may ignore you when they feel emotionally drained and need time to recharge. When words fail, silence takes its place, but that silence can sometimes speak volumes. People often ignore the ones they love when they're unsure of how to deal with their own insecurities. Ignoring someone you love is sometimes a subconscious way of regaining emotional control. If they ignore you, it may be their way of creating distance to test how much you care. Silence is often a reflection of inner chaos. They may be sorting out their feelings toward you. When people who love you ignore you, it's sometimes because they feel emotionally inadequate. People who love you may pull away because they're afraid of being seen as weak or needy. Ignoring you might be their way of coping with emotional pain they don't want you to see. Sometimes, love hides behind silence, not because it's gone, but because it's afraid of being hurt. The ones who love you most may ignore you when they feel they're not enough for you. When people feel emotionally stuck, they often create distance, even from those they love most. People who love you may ignore you to protect you from the emotional storm they're experiencing inside. Sometimes, ignoring you is their way of seeing if you'll chase after them, a reflection of their fear of abandonment. If someone who loves you ignores you, it's possible they're waiting for you to notice their silent pain. People who love you may ignore you because they're afraid you'll reject them first. Ignoring someone you love can be a sign of emotional burnout, not a lack of love. When people feel emotionally vulnerable, they often create distance from those they love to avoid being exposed. If someone who loves you ignores you, it might be their way of reclaiming personal space they feel they've lost. Sometimes, people ignore the ones they love to avoid dealing with the emotional responsibility that comes with love. People who love you may ignore you when they feel like their love isn't being reciprocated. Ignoring is often a sign of fear. Fear of conflict, fear of pain, or fear of losing control. When someone who loves you ignores you, it might be their way of protecting their heart from potential heartbreak. Sometimes, they ignore you not because they've stopped loving you, but because they're afraid you've stopped loving them. Ignoring you could be their silent plea for reassurance that you won't give up on them. Thank you for watching, and don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more psychology facts and human behavior.